winning statements from our crew. Hawk, tomorrow night, Texans and Jets. Who's going to be making a statement?
It's got to be Tank Dell. Stephon Diggs is down. Nico Collins is on the team on IR. He'll be back, but he's not there tomorrow. And Tank Dell needs to come up really, really big, and he will. Don't forget, last year, there was a point in the season where Tank Dell was on pace for 1,200 yards before he got injured. He can absolutely man the ship until Nico returns.
Jeff, huge game in the NFC North. Who's going to make a statement? Lions, Packers.
It's got to be the Packers here. Listen, you don't even know if your starting quarterback is going to be the guy. This defense has to step up. They're going to have to get turnovers against Detroit to give themselves an opportunity, especially if Malik Willis is the starting quarterback. The Packers have already lost to the Vikings. We see how Detroit is rolling through teams. If they want to be in the conversation of a top team in the NFC, it's a massive game and opportunity for them.
And Kmart, sneaky, very interesting game. Cowboys, Falcons, who needs to make a statement?
I think it's clear. Dak Prescott has to go toe-to-toe with Kirk Cousins. And it might sound like an odd statement, but if you look at how Kirk Cousins has played lately, the Falcons are a team that's on the upswing.
Yep.
Whereas we're looking at the Cowboys, Jerry has faith in them. They think they'll figure it out, and yet what they're putting out on the field does not give you that confidence.
It's Dak versus Cousins in the battle of the enormous contracts, right? I mean, we were having that conversation yesterday. Jerry Jones did his usual Tuesday radio interview, and he offered what can only be described as an interesting explanation of the way he goes about paying players.
I've always looked at the dollars we spend in football and on the roster. I've always looked at them as scholarships. And you give one player 5 scholarships. If it were college vernacular, you give another player 1 scholarship. The more guys you can have out there with 1 scholarship, the better off you are because of attrition.
Yeah, we were all a little. We listened to that in the meeting this morning, and none of us are quite sure.
Like, I'm like, something's got to be wrong. Like, I'm not.
Because of attrition at the end is what
Right.
that part is like.
But,
So a lot of guys are going to get hurt, so we got to have a lot of cheap guys.
Yeah, you want
we can cycle through.
You want to pay less money to players as opposed to more money to players.
which is
Seems to
literally
be
the opposite of what we see
what
some
they
of
do.
the best teams in the NFL doing.
So let's just move past it. I have a question.
Fine.
Okay, I have a question. Jeff, I'm starting with you.
All right.
The Dallas Cowboys, we talk about them all the time, and sometimes maybe we overstate it. They were good. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. They were a very good football team as recently as last year. They were here.
Yeah.
Now, it would be one thing if they went from here to here, but somehow it feels like they've gone from here to here. How did that happen in one offseason?
2 things. They got worse on the offensive line, and they're not nearly as opportunistic on the defensive side of football. So when you think about how you win games in the NFL, you had an offensive line that could help control. You had explosive plays down the field with Dak and CD. They made plays, and then they did the same on defense. They get into these track meets because they'd be up 14 points in the first half of games, right? And then you're coasting to wins, finding a way to be able to run the football because teams can't play it. They can't do that now. They're not starting fast. And they have the same offense which they had last year. Teams are getting more accustomed to what they do, and they basically just run Dak and CD out there and go, hey, good luck, go win a game. Not going to work in the NFL.
Deron Bland broke the record for pick sixes last year.
But he's been hurt.
I know. No, my point is how they went from there to here is because of major plays. Like that's a little bit of luck. And also, like Micah Parsons was like the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. He was getting so many sacks. Like you remember the beginning of last year, they were up by like 21 points at halftime.
Right.
Just about all those games. And now they're in a different situation with no running attack and with a lesser offensive line. It's going to be hard.
That's it. I mean, their offense is not built to carry a team. And their defense isn't great. Their offensive line got worse. Their run game got worse. It makes their West Coast offense, which is already an old version of the West Coast. It's not the Shanahan offense.
Right.
This is like the old school version. It makes it one-dimensional, which makes it predictable, which makes it unimaginative, which makes it stale. And even in that one dimension, you have one option. CeeDee Lamb.
That's right.
We know you're going to him.
Makes
it's
fun
easy
for
to take
defense.
away.
It's real fun for a
People are
defense.
pinning their ears back because there's nowhere you can go.
I would say it began when they decided to get rid of Zeke, not bring him back. But then 2 years later, we're like, you know what? Let's run him back here. Let's bring him back. Everything about all of the moves that they have made, we have said this, none of them make sense when you stack them together
Right.
in like, in order.
And let me say this about their defense as well. I played on a team that was built to rush the passer, right? Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis, both those guys will end up in the Hall of Fame because of that. But that means your offense has to be loaded to bear, right?
You got to play from in front.
You got to have two receivers. You have to have a solid run game. You got to be able to protect the passer because you can't go down in the hole and try to recover. The problem is they're playing it backwards. We talk about complementary football. They do the exact opposite and leave and expose both sides of the football to what they do worse. It's unbelievable.
Here's the thing. Football changes all the time, but there's one thing that will remain a constant. They're as bad as any team in the league at running it, and they're as bad as any team in the league at stopping the run. And if you have those two things, it doesn't make any difference what else you do.
Those are foundational principles. It's like in basketball, you got to be tall. It's the same thing in football. It's
I resent that.
I'm sorry. Well, you're a football player, not a basketball player, but either. But in football, you have to be able to run the football and stop the run or protect the pass. Like, these are fundamental things. Jeff loves to hear when I say this, but when I pick my Super Bowl winners at the beginning of the season, the first thing I look at is the offensive line. Is the offensive line going to be good enough? That's a big question. That's the scary thing about the Texans is I don't know that their offensive line is.
Right, great point.
And so I guess I would finish it with this question. Can they turn this around? We talk about them like they're 1-6. They're not. They're 3-4. They're theoretically still in the mix. There's still more than half a season to go. Can they turn it around?
The issue is not the record. It's when you use the eyeballs to watch the game. It's like, this is going the opposite direction as opposed to turning this thing around.
Think about the words that Hawk was just using. It's like when we talk about this offense, and it's like it's archaic. We're looking at an offense where it's like it's not even nothing, and they have no other counterpunch to CD, and even Dak and CD aren't on the same page.
I can answer your question and continue with my analogy. Can I get tall enough to be a rim protector?
Right.
No.
Right.
These are long-term problems that can't be solved in the short term.
When you use the eye test, you find yourself asking, how did they win 3 games? Let's do mid-season. If I can get everybody's attention. Let's do mid-season superlatives in the NFL. Domonique, what's been the biggest surprise so far?
It's the MVP of the league, James. Look at that biggest surprise. Nobody anticipated this man being this special, and he is so great. They need to go ahead and start getting the statue ready right now. I can't wait for the Jaden Daniels
Don't let
statue.
it look like the Dwayne Wade statue.
No, I want all statues to look like the D Wade statue. From here on out, that should be permanent statue head.
The expression right after that pass was caught. That's what we want to see. Animated.
The Dwayne Wade statue looks more like Jaden Daniels than it does like Dwayne Wade. Anyway, we can put them all up on the screen, Cindy, because everyone is giving biggest surprise to Jaden Daniels. So we won't spend any time on that one. Let's go to the next one. Kmart, what is your biggest disappointment at the midway point of the season?
Y'all already know what I'm about to say. It's the JETS. What are we doing? What are they doing? You finally get Aaron Rodgers healthy. You bring in literally everyone. We just had Devontae Adams brought to this team, and you're still looking, and they look terrible. And this was a team that we thought could at least get close to a Super Bowl. This experiment has gone awry, and it's panic mode in Florham Park.
Their coach thing does not work. That's the biggest takeaway.
But even if you didn't think they would win a Super Bowl, you didn't think that their record would be 2-5, 2-5 or 2-6.
I will agree with that. I mean, look, as a Jet fan, you're always expecting something bad might happen. For it to be this bad, I did not see. I did not expect this. Jeff, you're the only one who sees the Colts.
I don't like.
They've had a much better season.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Anthony Richardson situation for me, and I do understand benching him this week. But long term, we got to figure this thing out as an organization. We got to stop doing the stopover aging quarterbacks. They got to build this guy and develop him into the player he can be.
Okay, we'll see about that. And then I wanted to save some time for this because everyone is going to give their favorite play of the season so far. Jeff, what was yours?
Wanye Morris, baby, O-line scoring touch. Look at the route, separation. We talked about Deontay Johnson getting separation. How about this separation? We're 6 yards from anybody. And the catch, secure it. Don't let it touch the body. We did everything right. Fat and go works, baby. That's what we do pregame. It worked. Look at the hands securing the pass. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
He's as graceful as the
Look at
Let
him go.
Is there
That was the thick six. Kmart, what was your favorite play of the season so far?
Oh, it's courtesy of Domonique's MVP, Jaden Daniels. I understand. The Hail Mary to me, I was done with the Bucks game, Bucks Falcons. I was watching at a bar, and the way I screamed the way I screamed, they had to call security on me because that entire play is amazing. I understand you can talk about the
No,
Bears.
Tyreek Stevenson. Tyreek Stevenson had more to do with this play than Jaden Daniels did. He absolutely did. He contributed more to it. Next one is Hawk. Go.
We're going with LaMarvelous fumble recovery, double stiffy, fade away dime, going out of bounds. Come on, man. Like there's nobody in the league that can make this play except Lamar.
It's not an O-line touchdown, but I respect that one too.
Domonique, your favorite play?
Oh, it's got to be. We got to go to the defense side of the ball because you guys are haters. Cam Taylor-Britt.
Oh, this is great.
Stab that thing. Oh,
yeah, that's nice.
And he
speared that thing.
that week.
Yeah, that was
incredible play right there.
Well, you guys,
we hate because we can't do that.
you guys have all made boring choices. You picked great plays. This was my favorite play of the year. It happened Monday night. What are we doing here, people? Look how badly this play goes.
All the linemen still looking for the snap to happen.
That's the worst play ever.
Who do you credit this play to? Is it Hightower or is it the?
I don't know, but my favorite part of it is that Brian Daboll said afterwards that Daniel Jones did it exactly right.